Welcome to the HVAC Brief Podcast, your essential industry update in under 10 minutes. I'm Greg Adams, bringing you the latest news, legislative changes, and marketing tips that matter to HVAC contractors. Stay informed, stay ahead. Let's dive in.
All right, everybody, welcome in. Today's deep dive, we're going to dig into something that on the surface might not sound that exciting, but I think once we get into it, you'll see why this is actually a really fascinating little piece of the business world.
Yeah, definitely.
So we're looking at this article literally just published in HVACbrief.com today about a warehouse.
Mm-hmm.
A warehouse opening. You wouldn't think that would be big news, right?
Not usually, no.
But this is Century we're talking about, and this isn't just any old warehouse.
Not even close. This new place is seriously impressive, just the scale of it.
Okay, so yeah, paint the picture. What are we talking about here?
So we're talking 146,000 square feet.
Okay, so like 3 football fields.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
And it's all decked out. They've got a showroom, a whole will call section.
Will call? Like people can just swing by and...
Now, exactly. Pick up their orders, no waiting around. And get this, they even have a training center built right in.
Oh, wow. So they're really going for that whole, like, one-stop shop kind of vibe.
100%. This isn't just a warehouse, it's an experience.
And this is in Houston, right? Replacing their old branch.
Yep, the one over on West 43rd Street. They're closing up shop there on October 4th. New place throws open the doors just a few days later.
Ambitious. So it's like, okay, new warehouse, great. But what's the bigger story here, you know? What's got you so riled up about a pile of bricks and HVAC equipment?
Because it's not just that. Look at the language the article uses. Operational excellence, customer satisfaction. This screams strategic power play.
Ooh, okay, I like it. Unpack that for us.
Century's not being subtle here. They're making a statement. They want to be the HVAC supplier in Houston, maybe even the whole region.
And this facility, this massive new hub, that's how they do it.
Think about it, showroom, training center. They're investing in customer relationships, becoming a resource, not just a vendor.
Makes sense. They're also, the article really hammered home that they're going to stock like every brand under the sun, Ruud, Honeywell, even those more niche brands like Global, Pepco.
Exactly. They want to be a one-stop shop, so you never have to go anywhere else for your HVAC needs. That kind of market dominance is powerful, and it gives them leverage.
Leverage to do what, though? What's the end game here?
Well, for starters, control over pricing. If they're the only game in town with that kind of inventory, they could dictate the terms.
Interesting. So it's about capturing market share, but also potentially shaping the entire playing field in the process?
Exactly. And that training center. Genius.
Yeah, that part really stood out to me, too. It's not just selling equipment. It's about knowledge, about becoming the go-to expert.
Think about it. They train the installers. Those installers are more likely to recommend Century products in the future. It's a cycle.
It's like they're creating their own little ecosystem within the HVAC world.
It's smart, strategic, and potentially very, very lucrative. This is a company to watch.
Okay, so Century's clearly playing the long game here, but there's one little detail in the article that, I don't know, just kind of pinged my radar. They mentioned this guy, Carl Connolly. He's going to be running the new facility.
Operations manager, yeah.
What's the deal with that? Like, is this a big name in HVAC? What do we know about this guy?
Honestly, the article is pretty light on details. It mentions his title, but doesn't really delve into his background.
So what, are we supposed to just Google him?
Well, it might be worth a shot. I mean, his area of expertise, his leadership style, all of that could give us some hints about Century's overall strategy. Are they prioritizing efficiency, customer service, innovation? We need more intel.
It's like they're playing chess, and they're already like 3 moves ahead.
At least.
Right. But okay, we keep talking about Century and what they're doing, but like, what about all the smaller HVAC businesses, the ones who, you know, aren't building mega warehouses? How do they fit into this picture?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's all about adaptation. This could be a challenge, sure, but also a huge opportunity.
Okay, so walk me through that. How's this a good thing for the little guys?
Well, let's say Century does what they're clearly setting out to do.
Mm-hmm.
They corner the market, they're the big dog.
Right, which means...
Which could mean a surge in demand for HVAC services overall. Century's got the inventory, but they still need skilled people to actually do the installations, right?
So more business for everyone, because suddenly everyone wants what Century's selling.
Potentially. And that's where the smaller companies, they can get really strategic. Instead of trying to compete with Century on every level, they find their niche.
Like, what kind of niche are we talking about here?
Specialization. Maybe they become the go-to experts for, say, geothermal systems.
Right.
Or they really focus on a particular neighborhood, build those hyper-local relationships.
So play to your strengths, find the gaps that Century might be missing.
Exactly. Become indispensable in your own way.
I like it. So adapt or die, right?
More like adapt or get lost in the air conditioning aisle.
Okay, that's good. I'm stealing that. But seriously, folks, this is such a great example of how one company's moves can ripple through an entire industry.
And it's not just HVAC, right? We're seeing this everywhere. Consolidations, specialization, this focus on customer experience.
So how do we take these big ideas? Because this might be someone listening who, they're not selling AC units, they're a florist or a graphic designer. What's the universal takeaway here?
It's about finding your edge. You might not have 146,000 square feet to play with, but what do you have that no one else does? How do you create an ecosystem around your brand?
Become the Century of flower arrangements.
Exactly. It's about building those relationships, going above and beyond, becoming more than just a transaction.
Love it. Okay, so we've talked about Century's big move, the potential impact on the market. But there's one thing that's been bugging me, and the article doesn't really address it. This whole thing, it's happening now. Why?
The timing is interesting, right? They're pushing for this October opening.
Yeah, is that just random, or?
Well, we got to think about the bigger picture here. The economy, for one.
Because things are a little rocky right now, you're saying?
Exactly. Could be Century trying to get ahead of a potential downturn.
Interesting.
We've also got the housing market to consider. Is there a slowdown coming? If people aren't buying new homes, they're not buying new HVAC systems.
So maybe they're striking while the iron's hot, get this massive facility up and running, establish themselves as the go-to before things maybe take a dip.
It's a possibility. And it's not just about riding out the storm, right? It's a statement to the competition, too. We're here, we're playing for keeps, come and get us.
Okay, but how do you come back from that? If you're another HVAC supplier in Houston and you see this behemoth rising up, what's your next move?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you try to match Century, go bigger, or do you get smarter?
Because going head-to-head with that seems risky.
Oh, incredibly. But maybe there's a smarter play here. Focus on a niche, maybe something Century hasn't gone all in on yet. Or double down on technology, customer service, something that differentiates you.
Become the boutique HVAC supplier, like the artisanal bakery of air conditioners.
There you go. It's about finding that angle, that thing that makes you stand out.
I'm kind of rooting for the underdogs now. This is like a business thriller unfolding in real time.
Right. And we've got a front row seat. Just from this one article, we've uncovered so much about the strategies at play, the challenges, the potential pitfalls.
It's like we hacked into the HVAC industry mainframe. But seriously, this has been fascinating. Even if you're not an HVAC, this whole Century move, it's a case study.
100%. It's about looking beyond the surface,
right?
Asking the right questions, and maybe even being a little bit skeptical.
So to our listeners out there, here's your homework. What's the Century move happening in your world? What's flying under the radar that's actually a really big deal? Think about it. Keep your eyes peeled. And until next time,
stay cool.
Couldn't resist. All right, folks, that's a wrap on today's Deep Dive. Thanks for listening.
That wraps up today's HVAC Brief. I'm Greg Adams, helping you stay on top of the HVAC industry. For more in-depth coverage and exclusive content, head over to hvacbrief.com/subscribe and sign up for our newsletter. Until next time, keep cool and stay efficient.